I really needed to turn over the reins to Bob, to someone else.
That was Robert Iger in 2020, when he stepped down as CEO of Disney, the company he led for 15 years. 2 years later, he's now back, after the board ousted Bob Chapek following weak fourth quarter earnings. Disney stock rallied after the announcement. Bringing back a CEO is a strategy that many companies have attempted over the years, some more successfully than others. This is how 3 so-called boomerang CEOs made comebacks, and how their companies fared after their return.
A former CEO can help revive a company's culture. They're often viewed as the face of the company. They often have inspire the hearts and minds, a lot of people sometimes say. Bob Iger was someone that, while he was not a founder, people have described him as a quasi-founder in the sense that he was a larger-than-life CEO.
Like Iger, Howard Schultz was considered a popular CEO at Starbucks. He first stepped down as CEO in 2000, but returned in 2008 as the coffee chain's sales slumped. After cost cuts, Schultz got Starbucks to profitability. By the time he stepped down again in 2017, Starbucks' stock was up 640%. But when he returned once more in 2022 on an interim basis, he found a different company, facing worker dissatisfaction and pandemic consumer shifts.
I came back to reinvent the role and responsibility of a public company at a time where there is a cultural and political change.
Starbucks has said that it will invest $1 billion into employees and store experience.
A returning CEO or founder has to come back to a different company. So remember, someone else has been leading it for usually a couple of years at least. That means the strategy has often shifted. So Spencer Stuart looked at across all CEOs that were appointed at S&P 500 companies since 2010. And 8 out of 13 permanent boomerang appointments did worse during their second stint than during their first stint.
Twitter's co-founder Jack Dorsey was fired in 2008 in part for frequent absences.
The board brought him back in 2015. They basically wanted to reassure investors, and the hope was to revive the social media company's sagging user growth.
During his second run, some employees said he acted too slowly on issues like hate speech, harassment, and censoring. Dorsey left the CEO post again in 2021. During his second tenure, Twitter shares gained 63%, while the Nasdaq Composite more than doubled. Twitter and Dorsey did not immediately respond to requests for comment. When he left, he said in a statement that founders leading companies can be severely limiting. But founders like Dorsey are common boomerang CEOs.
What we often see is that CEOs who are either founders or really connected to companies feel that it's their duty, their service, to make sure that the company succeeds. One of the most prominent examples from the late 90s is Steve Jobs coming back to run Apple when it was on the brink of bankruptcy.
Jobs first left Apple in 1985. He returned in 1997 as an advisor and eventually took the CEO title.
I, like a lot of other people, are pulling together to help Apple get healthy again, and I am extraordinarily confident that that is going to happen.
He quickly brokered a surprise deal with Microsoft, sending the stock up. And he brought Apple back to profitability within a year. By the time he stepped down in 2011, Jobs had helped turn Apple into a smartphone giant. Apple did not immediately respond to a request for comment. As for Iger, he now has 2 more years at the top at Disney. Investors hope he can turn things around, despite the company's tumultuous year.